Hey guys, gals, non-binary pals, and all my friends out there. Welcome back to another Hope Loves Talk. I know I didn't do one last week on Saturday or Friday like I usually do. I was just a little busy, so, gotta do. But I'm back, and I'm here. So, today, I feel like we need to talk about doing a lot with a little. Now, this week, I was faced with the challenge of making a 10-sentence thesis. For me, I'm not always a 10-sentence type thesis person, as you can probably tell and infer from just how I naturally am. I could go on paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. But really, first time I did one of these, I found it really hard just because I didn't understand how to use a format. Actually, we had this little guide, really, of, okay, here are the 3 things you need in your topic. How do you explain that in about 10 sentences? So, when I looked at that, I basically thought I was reading another language that I didn't understand, if you know what I mean. It was really weird. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I typed way more than 10 sentences, like bombshells of sentences, and I did pretty good, but it wasn't the best, and I never finished it. I never closed it off. But my teacher said to me, and this other girl that's also in my class, really nice, apparently we both wrote tons of sentences. Didn't know that I wasn't the only one, but, hey, when you open up a conversation like I did in Spanish class after taking a oral assessment, it turns out that you all think you might have sucked, but you did pretty well. And you're not alone in that. When you open it up, when you make room for it, you can grow, you can make connections, and there's always a choice, war and peace. When we have quote-unquote divisions, we can either fill that space between us with war and hate, which means somebody wins and then they're the ones who have to settle the conflict, really, yes, or you can just greet it with peace. That's always been how it was, with friendship and drama, you could see a person from so and so long ago that you have to work with, and you're like, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to do this. Should I get up and tell the teacher that I don't want to do this? Because I honestly don't want to do this. And I understand that you're judging them based off their past. I've had some experiences, and I'm pretty sure all of you listening have had some experiences where you're linked up with an old friend or somebody that you absolutely hate with your whole entire being, but might also still love in some weird way. You love to hate them. And, well, that is such a strong word itself. It brings such a negative connotation to it. You think, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? Should I tell my friends about this? Should I ask the science teacher or whatever teacher? Should I ask the ELA teacher? Because I don't want to do this project with this person. Or you could just be like, okay, I know what happened in the past. It's okay for me to have my guard up. Nobody's expecting it to be all the way down. I may not necessarily like this person the most or a lot, but they're a human being too. They're a fellow creature. They deserve respect, a decent amount of it, and you're working together. That doesn't mean that you have to be friends. It just means that you have to be allies. It doesn't mean that you have to be family. It just means that you're working together. It doesn't mean that you have to go and tell your friends and make some giant drama out of this for nothing. Just work with them. I know it's a giant hurdle to jump sometimes, but if you literally just say, just work with them at first, or you just keep saying that, it gets a lot easier. And it prevents a lot of things. Because, I don't know about you, but I do know about me. This year, since we haven't had to be in virtual, in present school, since we're virtually present, it allowed for there to be a year of peace and rest and no real drama. And I kind of really am enjoying that. And I bet some of you can relate and are probably enjoying that and have seen your friends maybe conversing and getting into drama, but you're just like, can I please not? Yeah. I mean, when faced with a challenge, you can either choose to accept it, embrace it, and just work with it, or you could just fight it and then have to embrace it anyway. I mean, yeah, that doesn't get you that far, honestly. It doesn't. So, when it came to this, I actually focused in, on the picture. I had this whole entire topic in mind, right, for my sentence, and I have an idea, okay, but I was struggling. I mean, there were two questions that I could have used that worked equally great. They were gonna be fine, but I noticed when I was using one question, the head question that I chose to use at first, that I was always kind of bounding over into the other one. And, well, yes, you can do a lot with a little, okay? You can literally use 10,000 editing websites, and it will be probably better than using only one. You can use 10,000, different types of writing, apps, and it's probably going to be better than just using one and just being so confined and conflicted, You take what you have and you make something out of it, which is what I've always done when it's come to edits and comic dubs on YouTube. It's also go to YouTube. That's always been something that we do, as writers, as readers, as people in general. That's what we do. We take something that we may not have a lot of, but we combine it with our other resources, and we put it together to make a plan, and it works. So, yeah. When I noticed that I was having trouble with only using this one and keep going over into the other, instead of just struggling with using that one, I went over to the other, and I'm like, we have to keep this under 10 sentences. I got away with it the first time, but it's got to be under 10 sentences, right? So what I did was I started off from the basis. I knew, okay, this goes here, and this goes here. And instead of thinking it as, some other essay, I thought of it as a 10-sentence, maximum thesis. And that did a lot for me. Because it's not a text-dependent, essay. It's a thesis. And I feel like that's also where I got tripped up last time. I tried to turn it into an analysis of text with textual evidence, but it's not an TDA, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever they like to call it these days. It's a thesis. You don't need to list facts. You don't need to analyze them. You just need to simply state, this, that, and the other. So, what I finally concluded it to was, you don't need textual evidence. You don't need this or that. All you need is to basically say, okay, this one thing, this thing did this through this way, and then show them how it happened. Okay, well, this, that, and the other. Your cause and effect, your chain reaction comes next, and then you show the end final result, and then you go back, and with all of the things that you've just stated, you back up your statement that you originally said, closing it out. And guess what? I drafted that, thing a million times with trying to use this one question for this topic. Like, I draft many things. Because I know for my fanfics, I draw. I listen to music. I really get into it. I understand what I'm doing. And I make my own concept art sometimes. It really does help you think about a scene. And I use more than just one resource, but multiple resources, so I'm just not going off the bat. And after all of that drafting and organization of my ideals, using that other question, when I got to this one, I already knew what I was writing. So I wrote it, I drafted it, and when I did make a rough draft, just literally like 2 seconds ago, I did it in 7 sentences. Nothing fancy, okay? Nothing too complicated. No, I needed blah, 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 and blah, 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 and all this stuff. No unneeded video effects that you could have left out. No 7-hour edit. It was simple, it was clear, it was clean, and precise. And that is something we need to put in our everyday. To our music, writing, work, YouTube, every single place. That is something we need. To be clear, to stay clear, and to be able to do it. Don't overcomplicate things. Be straightforward about them. You can do a lot with a little. Think about that. Just think about that.